Okay guys, here's part 2 of the tutorial I did the other day on a reel with the gaps and cracks. And I'm starting with the bread loaf. I'm using some caramel, acrylic paint. You can use anything that looks like bread. It doesn't have to be this color. And then I used a little bit of this peachish kind of color. And then later I added a little bit of yellow, I believe. I don't think it was on camera though. So all I did is just paint in all the little crevices. Also, I would rather have this be raised just a little bit more than it was, but it still turned out okay. I am adding some ground cinnamon, and I will rub that into the styrofoam there, or the, what do you call it, the insulation foam, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of a, like a baked look. And then I will dry brush on some dark brown. I can't remember. I didn't see that color, but you can use any dark brown. And I just dry brush it on. I dry brush it in all the little, like the raised areas. And it just looks, a little bit more baked. I normally don't do realistic looking things, but with bread, you really can't do anything too super whimsical. So, but this turned out okay. And then after I did the dark brown there, I added some more cinnamon for that cinnamon look. And it's okay to add that. That actually resists bugs. And here I'm adding some Deco Art Duraclear varnish after everything is dry. Also, I did put 2 layers of paint on the loaf on both of these. I did 2 of them. And you'll definitely need two layers. And then, or 2 coats, I'm sorry, of paint. And I'm just doing 1 layer of the varnish. And it just gives it a little bit of a glossy look, but not overly. Just seals it. And then I'm just cleaning up the edges here with a very fine paintbrush. And I'm getting the excess paint off and the excess cinnamon. So after the varnish, I put a little bit more on, and then you'll see later how I decorated the rest of it. Here I'm showing you how the molds turned out, and the gaps and cracks that I used, it raises everything to 1 inch. So after you spray it, you can count on it raising to about 1 inch. So if you want to put a little bit less or a little bit more in, just know that. And make sure you read the can, because they're all different. And you see here, I just cut the bottom of the cupcake off because it is a little bit rounded. So you just cut the bottom off and it's fine. Same with the cake mold here. You just cut that excess off and use it for something else, and it's totally fine. And I'll use that excess for like my mugs, to fill in. And these are how the cups turned out and the cupcakes. And again, I think they raised pretty well. Sometimes I don't put enough in, and that's okay too. So you just deal with it. It always turns out different every time. So here I'm using some cream glue I have available on my website, and it is a milk chocolate brown. It looks darker on here, but it isn't quite that dark. However, when it dries, it is darker. It's a couple shades darker than what it looks. So this is really how it looks when it dries. But I love it. Everything, it's very sticky. It looks just like frosting, chocolate frosting. And you can see there, I'm just adding some embellishments and some sprinkles from Angie Land's boutique, crafting boutique on Facebook. And they have little teddy bears and they're super cute. Now for the insulation foam there where you see the edge, I like to leave that open or visible. And what you can do if you don't want to see that cake part, you can paint that whatever color you want. You can, paint it dark brown to look like chocolate cake, or yellow or white. It kind of looks like white because that's just how the foam dries. And there you can see the edge of the foam there, and then the cream glue. And here's how my bread turned out. I thought it turned out so cute. Like I said, it could be raised a little bit more. And then this one was raised more like I like it. And then I just added a bow, a heart, and then some puffy paint, white puffy paint. Here I'm going to be mixing some frosting, fake frosting. I'm using Red Devil one-time lightweight spackle, and I have it in 3 separate bowls. It's very dry. This tub is dry. So I always add white paint or whatever paint color I need, I add it. And so I'm adding the white acrylic paint to this. The next bowl, I am adding the pink, and I'm going to be mixing that all up really well. And then we're going to be making the red frosting as well, which is the Liquitex acrylic. I get that at Michael's. I'm sure Hobby Lobby has it, any craft store. And that keeps it nice and red. You'll see here I didn't even use that much. And it gets to be a nice dark, or not super dark, but a nice red color. And you can't get that with regular acrylic paint. So I always use the Liquitex. And here I'm just using a roll of plastic wrap. Just roll out a big sheet of it, a pretty long sheet. And we're going to swirl these colors. So we're going to lay them on the plastic sheet here, or the plastic wrap. And we're going to line the 3 colors down the middle of the plastic wrap. And you don't need to put this much. This is how much I do, just because I have a lot of cups that I have to do. And you can also put your spackle in bags and then pipe it on the plastic wrap, and that will be neater if that's how you want to do it. It's really, it doesn't matter to me. It's not it's not real food, so, and it turns out really nice. So, but I'm sure bakers do not do it this way. So you make sure your edges, you roll it up as tight as you can. Make sure the edges of your plastic wrap are closed. And then on each end, you're going to twist it. And you'll see why here in a minute. I'm going to cut one end off. And I did this on an older video on my page. I'm sure some of you have probably seen it. It was a couple years ago. I did this technique. I'm using a 1M tip there, and a large bag from Hobby Lobby, a piping bag. And make sure it's a large one, because if you want to do this much, you're going to need a large bag and a nice sturdy one. And you'll see all 3 colors are in there, and the cut end is what I put in towards the tip, excuse me. And here I'm just piping it on. And you see here, I could have used a little bit more white, so you can squirt out some of the beginning of that, and then you'll get more white or whatever color you're needing, all 3 colors to show better. And when you're piping, you can twist the bag so that you can get, all 3 colors in each layer. So now I'm doing the cupcake, and you'll see how that other one turned out later on in the video here. So I'm using 3 different colors of paint, and this is the one that had the rounded bottom. And you can make it look any way you want. You can paint it whatever color you want. I'm just using pink, purple, and what is that? Key West, I believe it is. And I put 2 layers of paint on each stripe. So 2 layers or 2 coats, and then let that dry. Well, actually, while it's wet, I did put some glitter on. And you'll see here, I used Mariposa's Creations on Etsy. And that makes it look very nice. And you can see here, this cupcake isn't very high. It didn't raise very much. But that's okay because we're going to be putting some fake, drip on. Or not drip, but spackle topping. And I'm just using the white cream glue here. Just like I use that chocolate, I'm using the white. I have a couple left in my shop. But it's, like I said, it's very sticky because it's glue. And you'll see it looks a little messy right now. It doesn't look too great, but you'll see how it turns out pretty cute. And so before it dries, you need to add your sprinkles or whatever you're going to use. I use these cute Easter ones from Jocelyn at Boutique Bardure, I think it's called. I'm sorry, Jocelyn, if I screwed that up. But she has a website and she's on Etsy. She's on Facebook. And she has really cute sprinkles and she's got clay. She's got all kinds of stuff. So I'm just going around the edges. I'm not worried about the top of it though yet. So now I'm taking my white spackle with the 1M tip and I'm making the top of it. And I just added some hearts there and some little colored balls and of course some pink glitter. And I think it turned out so cute. You can make this into a pick. You can add it to your fake bakes or, for a tier tray or whatever you'd like. And here is the chocolate again. This is milk chocolate. And this is the one I have. And I think I have pretty many left of this one. I also have cookie dough left. So those will be on my site. On my website, and I'll post the link. So this is obviously that little cake that I did, and we're just putting that cream glue all the way around, and it really looks like frosting. I just love this stuff. You can also paint these. You can paint any of this stuff. That's what's nice about the insulation foam. You can use spackle. You can paint it. You can also, I was considering putting clay over it too. You can put your whatever color clay you want over it and, form it like that. And now I'm taking some red hot glue sticks. I've never done this technique before, so I didn't know how it was going to turn out. You can also use your slick paint, your puffy paint. You can use spackle mixed with Mod Podge, to make a dripping. And I just thought I would try the hot glue since I had it out for something else. And it actually turned out pretty cute in the end. You do get a lot of glue strings with this, so just fair warning, if you use colored hot glue sticks, you will get some strings, but make sure everything cools off first and then you can pull them off. And there, I'm done with that. And then I just added some cute little hearts and some diamond ones up at the top. And I'm just showing you the rest of how these turned out. I think they turned out so nice. Now, again, you can paint the cake part if you want to make it chocolate or whatever color. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know, share if you'd like it, and I appreciate any comments. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.